Alright, so I tried, okay? I tried, but obviously this face is not meant to have a goatee like Tony Stark or Stephen Strange, but at least I tried. Anyway, I understand and know that this review is late. The reason for that is because I miscalculated. I mean, the movie came out, and then I had to quickly rush and do a whole bunch of all those reviews that you've been watching, if you've been watching them. But here is my review for Avengers Infinity War. Guys, fucking 10 years leading up to this monster of a film in a good way. First thing I loved about the movie, or first thing I want to talk about, is Thanos. Thanos was very well done. Firstly, with the CGI. The CGI and the motion capture was very surprisingly very well done. It was really detailed. That's the word I'm looking for. It was very detailed. The small little facial expressions that Josh Brolin, the actor who plays Thanos, I gotta say, I mean, motion capture is going very far, and I'm really enjoying it. We're in, like, a sweet spot with motion capture at the moment, and it's gonna get better, and it is done so well in this. Yeah, it's just like the little facial expressions is just done so well, but also, more than that, it is the performance that Josh Brolin gives. I mean, I know it's him in a motion capture suit with dots all over him and stuff, and it's basically a CGI character, but it's motion capture. So we are seeing his physical performance along with his verbal performance. So all of it is done really well, and his performance is he is very convincing as Thanos. And immediately when the movie starts and we are introduced to him, the word I would use is unsafe. I don't know if anyone else has felt that or used that word, but I was feeling a little intimidated and scared by this guy. So in that respect, Marvel have wanted Thanos to be their biggest, baddest, and best villain, and I think they achieved that. Okay, so one thing that, this is without spoilers, by the way, one thing that I noticed while watching it 3 times, I think I mentioned, is that this movie really has no one main character. It has no one main protagonist, because everyone involved, all the heroes and side characters, are pretty much all protagonists. They're all fighting to save the universe, basically. And so, if you're going into this movie expecting it to be like a normal movie where there's one main character or a couple main characters, you're not really gonna get that, because the movie is filled with so many Marvel characters that you're not gonna get that, right? So, I guess how I would say it is, like, if there were to be one main character, it would probably be Thanos. Not as the protagonist, as the antagonist, of course. But if that's what they actually did, if that's actually what they were going for, I think they achieved it well. And that's a good way to go about it. It's like, we know everyone in this movie, because we've seen all their movies, we know all the main characters and the side characters and all that. We know everything, so we don't really need the focus to be on them as much as it is on Thanos. So, we don't really know Thanos, so that way it works out well. Yeah. Also, this movie has a lot of comedy, and this is something that I have hinted at or mentioned or really talked about in previous Marvel reviews in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it's that Marvel have had a problem with comedy lately. Avengers Age of Ultron, for example, that movie had a lot of comedy, and I personally had a problem with that film because of the comedy, because for me, it wasn't that it had too much comedy, it was because where the comedy was placed in the film undermined a lot of its drama and weight. The movie had that, but what this movie does is it probably has a little less comedy, but roughly the same amount, but it's where it's placed, and that's the only explanation that I can come up with as to why this movie felt so much more serious than that. I mean, in Guardians of the Galaxy, for example, the galaxy was at stake. Pretty much the whole universe was at stake in that. So was in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So was in Doctor Strange. And yet those movies didn't feel as serious as this one. So it's just where the comedy is placed and how it's written is why this movie, for me, was very dour, very serious, and pretty much hopeless due to the events of this movie, even though there was comedy in it. So the comedy, for me, was just done better and placed in spots that didn't undermine or undercut its drama or seriousness. And I also think, now this is another thing that I noticed, and it actually gets quite deep. What I found this movie out to be about is, what would you do to save everything? Now, for example, in the second trailer for this movie, so I'm not actually technically spoiling anything, unless you haven't seen the trailer. But if you haven't seen the trailer, not my fault, this is technically not a spoiler. In that trailer, it was explained to us by Gamora that Thanos has always desired half the universe to be wiped out. So half the population of any planet, of any species, has to be wiped out in order for everything to be put into balance, because too much of it, too much life, or too much overpopulation will start to tip the scale and everything will go into chaos. But, you know, wiping half the population out that's obviously evil, and that's something that a mad titan would do. But Thanos has this goal. He wants to stop the universe from plunging itself into chaos, basically. It is explained to us in the trailer. He wants to wipe out half the universe. That makes sense. But also, our characters, the heroes, go through similar circumstances with this, where they are trying to stop half the universe from being wiped out. So they have to, sometimes make the hard calls, whether to save someone they love, or let that someone die in order to save the rest of the universe. So it's interesting how this movie explores what you would do to save lives, because that's basically what this movie is about. I really loved it when I watched. I realized this when I watched it about the second or third time, and when I realized this, the movie got deeper for me, and it really went to another level. Anyway, this movie obviously had a big impact on me. This, I gotta say, has become one of my favorite MCU films, and I'm not even kidding. By the way, this movie left me impacted so much that I don't know what the hell is gonna happen. I honestly don't know what's coming up next. And another YouTuber that I do watch has said this. But I myself felt the same thing. It's like no other Marvel movie has had this effect on me, because usually, actually, this is the only occasion in the Marvel Cinematic Universe where I don't know what's going to happen, because all the other movies leading up to this have been leading up to this. So we've always known what's happening next, or what's going to happen next, because the company have made announcements or teased whatever in post-credit scenes or trailers or whatever. And we've always already known what's going to happen. This time, I don't know what the hell's going to happen. I am shocked. And yeah, anyway, I just love this movie, guys. I am so happy that these 10 years actually were worth it. I would kill myself if they weren't. Anyway, I cannot wait for Avengers 4 or Captain Marvel. Oh! Woo! Sorry, got too excited then. I'm on a bit of a female hero high at the moment. Anyway, I'll see you guys later.